Hello and welcome to another episode of The Shooting Show. This week we've got a bumper episode for you. I'm going to be out doing some crow shooting over some drilled maize, and then I'm going to be out foxing using the new Sightmark Wraith Ultra 4K. So this morning I've come down to this dairy farm to see if I can do something about the crow population. They've been hammering these maize fields. Now these maize fields have just been planted and the crows are there pulling out all the fresh shoots. So I'm going to see if I can set up a hide and just give them a little bit of a thin out. So the farmer's got a gas gun set up in that field which has gone off about 30 seconds ago, and already you can see there's birds back on that field. They've just gotten used to the gun and they'll take off, they'll fly around and then they'll start dropping straight back in on that field. So what the crow's been doing is they've been pulling up the smaller shoots here to get to the seed below, and you'll see as you look along the rows and that there's patches where there's sort of big areas and that missing, where the birds have been along and just pecked out the smaller shoots. So on some of these fields the farmers actually had to reseed some big areas where the crows have just hammered it. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably set a hide up along this hedgerow here. It seems to be a sort of a reasonably good flight line coming to and fro across this field. So I'm hoping with a few decoys out I might be able to get a few shots. Right, so one hide. Hopefully that'll do the trick. You'll notice I've got a hedge behind me to hide any silhouette, and I'm also in the shadow here. So I'm hoping this will be quite a good spot once I've got a few decoys out. Got all the decoys out, so I've got my trusty old Beretta with me today. This is normally my foxing gun, but makes a nice sort of hide gun as well, being easy to load and that without having to break the barrel and actually have the hide a little bit smaller. So yeah, I like this gun. It's nice and easy to shoot too. First crow's coming in, so I'm going to get my earplugs in and get it set up. Get the old camera going. There's a few buzzing around now. I was going to set up just a bit further down the hedge here, but as it happens they seem to be flying in from the corner of this field. I'm getting most of my shots over that corner, so it's just what I didn't. Otherwise I don't know if I would have pulled them over as well. As it's happening it's working quite well because they're just coming over the hedge, so I think their attention is already looking at the decoys out in the field, and they're just missing me in the hides out here, because I'm pretty sure, especially now the sun's come round, that they'd probably be able to see me. But getting a few though, nice and steady. Better go and get that one. So I had a few quite high ones there, which is quite surprising really, because normally I'd be using 5s, but I'm using 6s today. I guess it's just a case of just get it in the right place, get the pattern in the right place, and get a good shot count on them. It's enough to bring them down. That was a long one. I'll have to get a scope for this gun before long. Start dialing it in. Oh, he missed him. I got me a bit of chicken and everything for that one. Well, the hide certainly seems to be working well. None of these birds have spotted me yet until it's too late. So makes a change, because usually crows don't miss anything, unlike myself. No one's come down the next field. So I've been pegging the dead birds out as I've gone. Just every time I shoot 2 or 3, if they're on the backs, now I'll go out and put a little bit of wire up underneath the beak there, and then peg them in the ground. Also what I've been doing is I've been bringing the plastic decoys, I've been bringing them in nearer the hide and putting the dead birds further out in the field, so that as the crows come over, as they see them, they're obviously, the dead ones are more realistic because they're real. They're just dead. But if I keep the decoys nearer the hide, then it means the birds have got to get closer. So potentially, if they do suss that it's a trap, then it's a bit too late because they're too close to the hide. The wind's picking up now, it's making some quite challenging shooting when they turn on that. Very often, if you miss with the first shot or they spot you, they'll just turn on the wind, and the wind takes them. They go twice as fast. Well, it looks like the action's dried up for today, so I'm going to have a clear up and a count up of all the crows, but there's a few out there. There's at least 7 more in the field behind, so I'm going to go walk around and pick them all up. So it wasn't too bad. It's a final count of 53, so it wasn't too bad. A few less on the field here, still quite a few more about, but so the action sort of dried up for today, so that's it here, and I'll get home, get my stuff sorted, get back out foxing this evening.
Hello, I'm Chris Parkin, and this is the latest Hawke Frontier 34 first focal plane rifle scope in 5-30 by 56 specification. This is a long-range precision shooting scope or a great daytime varminter. Aluminium lens caps are fitted both front and rear. Either can be rotated into position and locked in place. The fast focus eyepiece also has a lock ring to hold position perfectly. A removable throw lever is supplied to speed up access to the zoom collar. This is a first focal plane scope, which means that the reticle stays in proportion with the target regardless of magnification setting. It's available in minutes of angle or milliradians with matching reticle inside. The elevation turret also has a 0 stop and you can set negative travel. I've set negative 2 minutes of angle just to allow me to make any last minute changes to ammunition. Windage is clearly marked left and right of centre, and it's anti-clockwise for right, clockwise for left. Similarly, elevation is anti-clockwise for up, clockwise for down. Parallax runs from 14 metres, which is 15 yards, all the way out to infinity. There's no backlash in the system and it's easy to control. You get a crisp image, and the depth of field means it snaps quite well into focus quickly. The left side illumination control has 11 settings for reticle intensity, and there are off positions between each. The reticle has black external arms at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. Only the internal tree is illuminated red. Being the first focal plane, it gets larger as you zoom in. There are also a large number of windage and elevation aim-off solutions in the lower left and right quadrants. Being illuminated means that at low magnification on a first focal plane scope, when you've got quite small reticle, you can illuminate it and it's still there and visible without blocking your field of view. The left side cap covers the CR2032 battery for the illumination. Clicks on this scope are 1/4 m away, and there are 25 minutes of angle per complete revolution. If you go for the milliradians version, the clicks are a 1/10 of a milliradian per click, and there are 10 milliradians per complete turn. Overall travel is 99 minutes of angle for elevation and 53 minutes of angle for windage. In the metric version, that's 29 milliradians elevation and 15 milliradians windage. Overall length is 392 millimetres or 15.4 inches. Weight is 830 grams or 29.3 ounces. The 56mm objective lens gives you an enormous amount of light entering the tube. It's also recessed 20mm to protect it from external damage from foliage. Both front and rear lens caps can be rotated to exactly where you'd prefer to keep them. This is especially handy if you've got an illuminator on with any added night vision to keep it away from the illuminator itself. A 100mm sunshade is supplied for the objective lens. You can also put the lens cap back on if you need to. The removable throw lever makes it very fast to change magnification, so in an emergency when you need more field of view, it's very quick to just drop it down to 5 power, whereas you can steadily just lift it up to 30 as you need. It is noticeable in poor light conditions. Dropping it down to about 16 is where you start to get back into your best light transmission zone for a bright image. I'd recommend 30 for daylight only, really. The turret clicks are very tactile. You can hear them and feel them. All the click values have been accurate, and I've dialed corrections for most distances. It's very windy today and the windage adjustment's been used quite a lot. The eye relief is 102mm, which is 4 inches. It doesn't vary too much when magnification is being changed. It's a large scope, but with secure 34mm rings it holds position perfectly well, and there's a lot of tube space to set eye relief as you need it. The eye relief is quite versatile in the spacious eye box. This is great when you're changing positions from things like standing with tripod sticks to laying prone and taking longer precision shots. The exit pupil goes from 11.2mm down to 1.9mm. That's equal to 0.4 inches down to 0.07 inches. Field of view is 7.5 to 1.3 metres at 100 metres, which is 22.5 to 3.8 feet at 100 yards. A lot of the footage on this video was filmed through the scope using the Trigger Cam 2.1. Please bear in mind that the Trigger Cam doesn't continuously refocus like the human eyeball does, and that's sometimes why the reticle isn't quite as crisp as you'd hope in your own scope. That's not to say the fast focus eyepiece on the Hawke scope doesn't actually give you a perfect reticle picture, because it does, and the human eye is continuously refocusing to compensate for all other variables. I first saw the fox well over 300 metres away, but it was getting dark. By the time we got him in close and also in a direction for a safe shot, unfortunately we had to switch over to another rifle with night vision scope. Regardless of a 56mm objective lens, I don't think it's unfair to accept some compromise from a 30 power scope. Yes, it's great for daylight varminting, but it is a little bit weaker at low light dusk conditions. As you can probably tell from the wind noise, these weren't the kind of conditions where I was going to be pushing a shot anyway. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that review. Please like, subscribe and comment, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you can see the weekly uploads. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
So this is the new 4K Ultra Sightmark Wraith. You may recognise this as looking an awful lot like the old HD Wraith, and you would not be mistaken. It is basically the exact same scope. The difference is that this one comes with the 4K capability that the 4K Max scope had. So it's basically just been enhanced in terms of performance. The actual menu setup and everything else about the scope remains the same as the HD. The only subtle difference is there's a slightly smaller objective lens on this one, and also it comes complete with the extended mount, which the HD was an extra cost. So you get all that for the amazing price of 600 quid, or actually just under 600 quid, so the same price that the HD was when it first came out. So for 600 quid, that is an unbelievable scope, and in my mind this scope is the best night vision scope on the market. I don't think you can better that, certainly not in terms of price, and probably not in terms of performance either. I think it's very good. You can see from the footage here that the picture quality during daylight is superb. That gate post there, that is at 100 yards. And you can see on that, when it's zoomed right up to max magnification, you can still got an excellent quality of image. So also, as you expect, the night vision picture on this is superb. I've not had much of a chance to use it, so this will be the first time I've actually taken it out in anger. I've taken it out and I've zeroed it, and I was very surprised. Even at 100 metres, I was still seeing the bullet holes on paper, which for a digital night vision scope is superb. So it'd be interesting to see just how good it is at night. So, with darkness rapidly approaching, let's go and have a look round and see if we can find a fox. So usually it's a pretty good place to stand. Foxes tend to like to come along this hedge right at the bottom here, and also there's a long over a hedge just here, and see into the next field as well, another good spot for them. And also the field behind, which is quite yellowy at the moment with long grass and that, but they quite often trek across there. So it's quite a good place to stand and wait anyway, at least just till it gets dark. There's not much out at the moment, just a few rabbits. Probably got 10-15 rabbits out in this field. Other than that, there's not much else about, but it's still quite early, probably got another half an hour or so until it's properly dark. So we'll keep waiting and see what comes along. So it's pretty dark now. It's too dark now for the colour mode on the scope, so I'm going to switch to IR and have a little look-see. There's a couple of rabbits down there, and they are at 75 metres, I think that is. Yeah, 75 metres. And we can see them really clear. Nice sharp picture. even when it's on maximum magnification, it's still very good. So that's pretty impressive. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a fox through it. Hopefully we'll get one come through before long. Right, so I'm back up at the truck now. I saw a couple of foxes around this evening, but the grass is very long. It's probably about knee high, the grass there, so there's only a few fields where it's a bit lower. So what I'm going to do, or what I was going to do, was head on to another farm and have a look round. But literally just walking back up to the truck, and it has started hammering down, but it's just that fine misty rain, the sort of rain that just is terrible for night vision. The IR just bounces straight back off it. It's just like a wall of moisture. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock it on the head for tonight. I'm going to come back out tomorrow evening and head on to a different farm. On a different farm this evening. I've seen a few foxes down here recently, so hopefully we'll get a chance of one. The grass is a little bit shorter than what it was on the other farm. It's not great, but it's a bit better. But there's a few high seats on this farm because it's also good for deer. So I'm going to sit up in one of the high seats and see if anything comes through, or maybe have a little squeak, put the cooler out or something, see if I can pull a fox in. So I'm up in a high seat, got the cooler out in the field, rifle ready, so I think what I'm going to do is just fire up the cooler, just see if we can pull something in. We've got a couple of deer out in the field, but I expect they'll soon disappear when the cooler starts. They probably won't like that. Right, so I think I'm going to start the cooler going with the juvenile red foxes. It's a particularly good call for this time of year when there's cubs about. It quite often will pull in a worried vixen, perhaps if she thinks it's her cubs out in the field playing where they shouldn't be, or it might even pull in curious dog foxes and that, who will there's a good chance they'll kill fox cubs if they're on their territory. So you might pull in a dog fox, or even the dog fox from the family. But either way, it's usually works pretty well. So I fire that up. So it comes in. That was a good start. That won't come straight in there. I'll give it a few minutes. it's just to settle down, and then I'll fire the cooler up again. But that one came straight out of the hedge on the right there, really quick, and just stood in the field looking straight towards me. I think he was a little bit behind the cooler, but he was clearly coming to it. So I've noticed a couple of very subtle differences with the new Wraith Ultra 4K. I've noticed that they've done away now with the standby function which you had on the HD. So on the HD, if you pressed and held the rear button, and it will put it into standby mode. But what they've actually done is they've done away with that, and when you press that button, the power button, it now comes on almost instantaneous. It's really fast start up, so there's no need for the standby mode anymore. The other thing I've noticed is the green mode that was on the HD. You had a green night vision and the colour day screen. Well, this one has the sharper colour day screen and obviously night screen as well. But there's also like a dusk mode, which to be honest, I didn't notice a massive difference between dusk and night vision mode. It maybe just made the image just a little bit darker. So whereas at dusk it was quite a bright white sort of image, it kind of just darkened it down a little bit, so it made it a little bit easier to define things at dusk. But other than that, it seems to be pretty much the same sort of unit. Everything all works the same, records the same, does everything else the same. So yeah, I'm impressed with it. I like it. Right, okay, I'm going to go for the rat distress call. That's usually quite a good one as well. It's quite a still, quiet night, so I don't really want a call that's too loud. I think just a quite a subtle call's enough. So let's fire that up and get set. That's two down. That one, I could hear him coming right through underneath the high seat. I could hear him padding through the leaves and that, and just come out of the field just there. Very nearly spooked him, and he dropped the rifle. Well, not dropped it, but he nearly rolled sideways and hit the side of the high seat. Good. Right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go down, go and see if I can find him in the long grass. And then I think that'll be it for the evening. But Sightmark Wraith, as I expected, worked very well. It's just like the old HD, but with a better, clearer picture. I shot both those foxes just on either base mag or one up from base mag. I can't remember which it was now, but it was only a low mag, and yeah, it was more than enough for the ranges they were at. Cool. So that one was the first one, that was the dog fox. Shot that at just over, it was only about 60 metres, 65 yards, something like that, not a lot. He come into the call, just nice. And just whacked it with a chest shot, dropped it, easy peasy. Well, surprisingly, that's a dog fox, that one. I thought that'd probably be a vixen, being that we'd shot a dog there. So yeah, it's quite a dark fox, that one. Again, good size fox. So the round's just gone through the jaw on that. I was actually aiming pretty much to the point of the nose, I think, if I remember right. So that's, yeah, smack bang on. But yeah, instant kill, so that's good, didn't know anything about it. So that's two foxes down out this field, so that's good going. So not really much of a test for the Wraith, but it's certainly works right, certainly clear enough. Good, right, so I think I'll clear up the stuff and carry these foxes back up to the farm, and that's me done for the evening. Thanks for watching.
If you aren't a member of Basque, it's time to join now. Basque, looking after your sport, looking after you.